Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the... Well, hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, just let's adjust the volume a bit lower so we get no echo. But what's up Chris, what's up JS, RR, Orca, Mr. Ahmed, Magdi, Mohammed Usman, everybody else. So we are back again with another episode of KT Time. It is actually a very enjoyable time to host these, and hopefully you guys are enjoying them as well. So unlike a regular stream, we are not actively engaging with chat. It's much more of a podcast type format, which hopefully we'll soon start actually uploading on podcast platforms by exporting the audio and getting that thing sorted. I will keep you guys updated once that is sorted. It's just 1,000 things happening at the same time, but nonetheless quite an eventful week if you ask me, and we have a ton to talk about in episode 8. So let's all say hello to KT Time co-host Mandalorian himself, and let's get this thing started.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Are you ready for some fun? Because the first thing we're going to talk about is something KT is about to be surprised for, and he let me know today he hates surprises. So isn't that awesome?
I do not enjoy surprises, yes.
So welcome to MCOC, or as I like to call it, Mando's Conundrum of Champions. That's right, KT. We're going to test your knowledge right now. 5 questions. You have the opportunity to answer them all. You have 3 lifelines to choose from, but you can only use them one time, anytime during these 5 questions. And the 3 lifelines are going to be either you can ask chat for help, you can ask me for a hint, or you can ask for 4 options for what could be the possible answer. Are you ready, KT?
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Okay, well, since you're so excited, and we've been talking about buffs, and we will be talking about buffs today as well, how about we call this one the Buff Week Challenge? Okay, first question, KT. Which class has the least number of buffs as of March 2021 that have been done? Don't forget, you also have a lifeline if you need to use it on question 1, but we got 4 more other questions.
Okay, I see where this is going. Okay.
Can he do it,
3
guys?
classes which they are not.
Okay, so you want to start by eliminating. Okay,
Yeah, so
I'm
I
with
have
you
3
so far. Which classes
remaining.
are not?
They
What
are
are you eliminating
definitely
already?
not mutant, because they have had
Okay,
plenty, like 4 within the last 12 months already. They are
okay,
definitely not science, because they
okay.
have like 4 or 5 on top of my head recent ones.
Yeah,
They're
okay. I see what you're
definitely
thinking there.
definitely not skill, because those mother effers are getting buffed left, right, and center. So it leaves
Ooh,
Cosmic,
right.
Mystic, and Tech.
Yeah, it does. It leaves those 3. So what is your guess? What do you think? This is so much fun.
I'm gonna go with Mystic.
You're gonna go with Mystic? All right, everybody, let me go to the judges. Judges say you're correct, KT. There have been less Mystic Champions buffed than any other class. Now, for question number 2, name those buffed champions.
Mystic champions have been buffed.
Yes, correct. Since release.
Okay, so obviously we all know about Magic that has been buffed in the ancient days.
Magic is correct. Who else?
We all know that Juggernaut has been buffed.
Juggernaut has been buffed as well.
We all know that Scarlet Witch got nerfed and then buffed afterwards.
That's true. Very true. KT, you're correct. You've got them all right. You're good job, sir. Now, for question 3, you're doing good so far. You still have 3 lifelines, 3 more questions. Which buffed up champion or champions have the ability to shrug off debuffs in any way.
Question, does that have to be ability that's new to them, or that they already previously existed? Like Kingpin could shrug off debuffs previously.
I'm going to say, as long as a champion has been buffed and they can shrug it off
Okay, fair enough.
regardless
So
if
we're
it's
gonna
something
go
new
with
or
Kingpin,
old.
Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen. Those are automatically the two there. Let me keep
Okay.
thinking of more shrug off, because shrugging crap off is well, Angela can reduce the duration, but that doesn't count as a shrug off, so we can keep Angela off.
Correct.
Okay, what else has been buffed and then can shrug stuff off? Well, there aren't too many champions that shrug off crap in the game.
Correct. You know. I will tell you, KT, you're doing really good. There's only one other one that I could think of.
Okay. So we got Kingpin and we have Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen. That shrugs stuff off. Now I need to figure out the third one.
And I'll tell you
Moleman.
this,
Moleman
it doesn't have
shrugs crap
anything to
off,
do with
and the Moleman
synergies.
has been buffed.
Correct. Moleman has been buffed.
Is that it, or there are more?
So is Moleman.
Oh, She-Hulk has been
Moleman
buffed, and She-Hulk has the ability to shrug off debuffs as well, if you're fighting science champions.
And thinking about it, there's actually one other one too, but I forgot about it.
So we have She-Hulk, we have Moleman, we have Daredevil, Hell's Kitchen, we have Kingpin.
Correct. Yep. And there's one more actually, now that I think about it.
There's one more.
Yeah, there is one more. I just thought of it.
That has been buffed. And it can shrug off stuff.
Correct. You still have your lifelines.
That is fine. I don't need them. Let me just think a second. Oh, there is well, technically, I think I know what you think, but it's not technically counted as shrug off. But you're probably thinking of Red Hulk.
I'm thinking of Red Hulk because
but it's not
technically
classed as a purify ability.
It's not a purify ability. However, I did say shrug off,
fair
not
enough.
purify.
It's Red Hulk then.
Very good, sir. So far, doing great. 3 out of 3. No help needed. All right. Now, the fourth question gets a little trickier. Which champions that have been buffed can heal, not including willpower or synergies?
Again, we have to revert to magic.
Correct. Magic is one.
Scarlet Witch, if we count her as nerfed and buffed, then.
Yes, that I will accept that. Yes.
I believe Doctor Strange has been nerfed, and oh no, Doctor Strange has not been buffed. He has been just nerfed. Doctor Strange can heal, but we didn't include him before, so I'm not gonna include him now.
No.
Okay, so we're gonna talk with Red Hulk. Red Hulk has a heal on level 2.
Yes, he does. Red Hulk does.
Champion has been buffed and can heal, not including willpower. Angela has been buffed and can heal.
Angela does. Yes, Angela can heal. Anyone else?
Oh, Hood's buff is eliminated, so that doesn't count. Let me think. No heal there, no heal there.
Uh-oh, KT,
Venom is one. Venom eats.
Venom is also one, yes. So far you're getting closer.
How many more I'm looking for? Or that would count as a hint.
So, name all the ones you've said so far again.
Called for Magic, I called for Scarlet Witch, I called for Red Hulk, I called for Venom, I called for Angela.
Correct. So that was 5, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8. So you got 3 more.
3 more. Okay, that's very interesting then. Think. Buffs.
Yes. You're probably going to kick yourself whenever you find out what they are too.
Probably. Okay, wait,
Warlock has never been buffed, by the
Well,
way, Magdi.
Hulkbuster has to be one of them.
Yes, Hulkbuster is one of them. 2 more left.
Iron Patriot has been buffed.
I'm not counting him as being buffed.
Well, but he has, and he can heal, but okay.
I'm not counting him because he wasn't like an official, like,
Okay,
big
fair
deal
enough.
buff kind of thing.
Okay, who else has been buffed and can heal?
2 more.
You're surely not counting Namor's rebalance thing.
Of course not. No, I was actually going to tell you before this started. I was not counting Human Torch, Cull Obsidian, Namor, or Ebony Maw as any of the ones that we're talking about today.
Okay.
So 2 left. I'm asking you not to look at chat because that would be cheating.
I'm
but
not
I will tell
looking
you
at
they've
chat,
already
don't
said
worry.
they've already said the other 2 though. They've already figured it out.
Okay, I'm not looking at chat, don't worry. Who else has gotten buff recently? I'm thinking chronologically.
It's okay. Take your time. We got a little bit of time for this. And there's only one more question.
Okay, so Punisher 2099.
Yes, 1 more left, sir.
Okay, okay. 1.
Oh, it's getting down to the wire, guys. He's got it. Will he get it, Jack? Jack, do you think he'll get it?
Okay, so we
He'll
got
kick himself when he remembers it.
Terex can't heal.
Everybody give it up for Jack
Yellow
in
Jacket
chat.
can't
Jack
heal.
was the one that found out first. It's coming down to the wire.
Named Angela.
Yep, already named Angela. Angela's already been named. You've named... I'll go over who you've named.
Okay.
You've named Magic. You've named Scarlet Witch. You've named Angela, Venom, Red Hulk, Hulkbuster, and Punisher 299 was the
Wolverine has
last
gotten
one.
a buff.
Close.
Old Man Logan, fair enough. Yes, Old Man Logan has been more recent. But
Logan,
Wolverine has also gotten a buff, but in ancient times, just so you know.
Yes, ancient
So I
times.
actually
I'm
named
really
2
counting
more.
12.0 on, but
Yeah,
yes.
so I actually named 2
Old
more.
Man Logan was it.
Okay.
So there you go. Okay, last question that actually has a bonus as well, but this is kind of an easy one if you think about it. But how many classes have the same number of champions that have been buffed thus far? I'm looking for a number. How many of the 6 classes?
How many classes have same number of champions been buffed so far? That is no way I can answer that. I don't have like a mental map of every single champion that has been buffed.
Okay. Then let's back it up. Okay, what do you think the number is? Because I'll tell you, think of the highest number of buffed champions, and what is that number? In one class. You said earlier you figured out which 3 that were not for sure not going to be it. So just think of one of those classes and how many there were. I didn't think this would be a tough one. I thought this one would actually be pretty easy.
I think science is 5.
Okay, so is that your answer?
Well, let me think if I'm missing something out.
Okay, I'm waiting. Kravitan, you can do whatever you want. It's not your question, but yes, you're more than welcome to look at that.
Considering that you didn't count Wolverine.
You're correct. Are you trying to figure out how many actual classes it was that has the same number now?
I think the number is 5.
Okay, so that's your answer is 5? He's thinking, guys. Let's see. He's testing the waters. What are you thinking? You think 5's going to be the right answer? Oh, I got KT stumped a little bit here. He's still got all 3 lifelines, don't forget.
Okay.
Of course, the question is to get a little higher.
Actually,
yeah, KT's veins popping.
Question for me here is: Are you including the shock update where there were 5 champions, I believe, that received immunity or partial immunity to shock?
I am not. No, I'm only including what the community overall has looked at as buffs, meaning either, like you said earlier, Juggernaut, remember that was listed in a patch update note, or when they've actually come out and said we're buffing these X champions. Yes, Growler, it is Voice Guy. We're getting
Okay.
it's the last question, and KT's been doing really well, much better than I thought he would have. Like he answered a lot of these quick. Very quick. I knew he would probably get them all. I mean, it's KT. He knows all this stuff. I had to do research to get the questions, you know. All right, KT. Would you like a hint?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, you've already said the correct answer.
Okay, so that's 5 champions classes.
Correct. So, do you want to go for the bonus question classes? I can tell you how many classes there are.
Okay, tell me how many classes there are, and I'll name them.
Okay, here's the hint. He used 1 lifeline. Here it is. There's 4 classes that all have the same number. What are those classes?
So you're gonna go with
Mystic
skill, mutant. Those are 2 of the 4.
Okay. Yep. Okay, skill and mutant. I'm with you.
Okay, so how? Skill and mutant. Science, definitely up there as well.
Okay, one more.
We know for a fact it's not mystic, because that was the least amount of buffs.
Correct.
So that leaves with tech and cosmic.
So which one do you think had more, cosmic or tech? Tech or cosmic?
Let me go over tech buffs very quickly. Tech, we have Puncher 2099. Sure. Tech, we have Hulkbuster. Tech, we have Civil Warrior, if you can count him like that.
Correct. You're with it. You're on it.
Do we have more? Cosmic, we have Terax, Venom, Carnage, and okay, so it's Cosmic.
You're correct. Yes, it is 5. All of them have 5. We have with Science, we had Red Hulk, Luke Cage, She-Hulk, Spider-Gwen, and Yellow Jacket. Skill, we had Daredevil's Hell's Kitchen, Falcon, Mole Man, Kingpin, and Massacre. Mutant, we had Colossus, Old Man Logan, Red Magneto, White Magneto, and Gambit. Cosmic, Carnage, Venom, Gamora, Terax, and Angela. And Tech, we had Punisher 2099, Hulkbuster, Civil Warrior. And I said Mystic had the lowest because technically only Juggernaut got the buff because Magic and Scarlet Witch were kind of like 12.0 and then they kind of fixed it. So I counted those as 1. So yes, you win, KT. You got them all right. Congratulations.
Who would have thought?
Yes. So KT is definitely the Grandmaster of this conundrum of champions. Congratulations, everybody. Give it up for KT.
Yeah, well, I didn't see the start like this. It was quite cool. I actually enjoyed it. Okay, now we can actually start with KT time.
Now the KT time starts. Okay, guys. It took a little bit longer than I meant. I'm sorry, but I thought you guys would have fun with that. I think everybody, KT, have a generic awakening gem. I'll give you a 3-star generic awakening gem. Send it in by Kabam anytime in the near future.
Sure, I'll take that. Right. So, well, the first thing that we're going to be talking about, I think, is quite obvious here, right? The one thing that was arguably the most controversial, and unfortunately also brought in a lot of negative parts of this community, and that is the 180 on Hood's buff. And I must say, I don't like anything from beginning to middle to the end how this situation played out. I do not like... Well, okay, so first of all, I do not like the character selection because I think Hood, even in Mystic Lance, was far from the first champion that they should have tried to rework. Okay, we can accept that it's moderate rework, so they're gonna go for mid-tier champions, which Hood definitely is. But then I definitely didn't like the philosophy of the rework, where they kind of feel that they can tinker with the champion to any extent that they please and disrespect people who have invested in this champion already and use him for specific reasons. And that is horrifying because, like, in many cases, I actually expect those champions just become different rather than better and ruin, let's say, my personal game plan. Like we mentioned before, if they buff, let's say, Doc Ock, who is a mid-tier champion, and remove his ability to deal with improved power gain, then I have no real use for Doc Ock, more than likely. Or if they buff Gwenpool, like I mentioned in my videos, and she can't deal with the fights that she can now, it can ruin experience for many people. Or specifically Ronan, let's say they decide to buff Ronan, who is a mid-tier Cosmic Champion, or overall, take away his infinite stun loop, I'd be fucking fuming, because that is very, very useful to me, and that's the reason why I look at the champion. And then, obviously, all the bugs and all the outrage, and then they announce the rework, and then very large part of community jump on other side's throats, and you shouldn't have complained, look at they are cancelling the rework. Which is very important to understand. They're not cancelling the rework. They are redoing it. The rework's still coming, you just have to wait a bit longer. So what do you think about this whole situation and stuff that happened?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people kind of didn't think about, is that it's not that they didn't cancel it. It's not like they said, okay, I mean, they even said it themselves, we're going to go back and make sure that we're going to rework it the right way and not take away something that players saw as a piece of utility that did use him. We're not going to take that away, and going forward in the future, we're going to not do that with other champions, which is what we talked about last week, which was a dangerous precedent for them to set.
The main point, which was the entire point about making a fuss about huge changes.
Yes. So I'm happy they did it. I know that there are some people that are very disappointed because maybe they didn't use him or that part of the utility before, and they did like the way that it changed, but I don't think they were thinking as the way like we were, where, again, this sets the precedent where Kabam can come in and change any champion, like what you said, with Ronan, with his stun lock ability and such with buffs. Taking that away but giving him more damage, that's not what we're looking for in a buff. So I'm glad they're kind of going back to the drawing board, saying we're going to keep the things that are there that people like, and we're going to adjust the things that people did like to make it more workable, instead of just, because another easy fix could have been keep the buff and just add Fate Seal back on. But if they would have done that, then the question would have been, well, why did you take it away in the first place? You know what I mean? At the same time, I do think that taking a little bit more time to quote unquote bake in the oven on a rework of Hood is a good thing, because I didn't like how it seemed like it was really hard to build your bullets up if you're using them in a match, especially if the match is not a quick one. Or sometimes even if it is a quick one, you finish the match, be invisible, and have like 3 or 4 bullets built up, but they die before you get those replaced, and you would not get those. So there were some things they could have done different.
There are definitely some things that most people liked the new Hood, as far as I know, and that's fair.
Yeah,
I didn't really get much to play with him, and initially, at the very least, I didn't actually dislike him. I just didn't think he's like anything special. He wasn't a champion that I would rank up over like Dragonman or something. He's just like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
For me personally, like if you loved him, that's fine. Maybe I would have like learned to love him the more I tested him for like my next video or something like that. But again, to me, that's like looking at very, very, very little picture when you have so much more context behind it. And be that as it may, whether the new Hood comes back better than he was with this buff or worse than he was with this buff, really doesn't matter to me. What matters to me much, much, much more than one single champion who everybody all of a sudden pretends to care about and ultimately would leave to somewhere collect dust on their rosters, is the entire feeling and the entire ability that I can rank up a champion today and rely on that champion specific utility a year down the line. Don't want to, let's say I don't have perfect, I don't know, tech option to rank up and I end up taking 6-star Doc Ock to rank 3 because of his specific utility to deal with improved power gain nodes, and do that for tier 1 wars because tier 1 wars are important to me or something. And then they're going to buff Dr. Octopus and take that away from him, and I'm going to be like, the hell I ranked him up for. So this entire situation is very ugly, but ultimately I do think Kabam made a good decision. I'm not saying that was the best decision they could have made. They could have left this rework before and rework it again, so people are not upset meanwhile, or they could have just tried to give him back the Fate Seal or whatever. There are other solutions to what they did rather than just kind of like rewind. Because this was kind of like a process where everybody get pissed off at everyone and nothing beneficial from it came out at the end yet. So I do hope they don't take too much time with it. But ultimately, yes, the fact that they, as they say in the post here, that they are determined to respect the investment of the people who are already using these mid-tier champions, that is very, very important. And I just wanted to say that. If you're annoyed now, keep in mind that his buff is not cancelled, it's just postponed.
Still gonna get buffed. I mean, and I would imagine we'll see it in the next 6 months still. Like, I mean, I know they haven't given us a date, but I would imagine in the next 6 months we'll see him again.
But but ultimately looking at the bigger kind of like frame where these reworks can and can't go, and I'm gonna talk about this a bit more when we discuss Civil Warrior quickly, as we have to move on.
Well,
it's quite clear that the people who, unfortunately, the people who work on these buffs likely do not play this game, or at the very least do not play the champions that they are changing and don't know what they are worth for and what they are using and how to use them properly. Like, think about it. I play this game every day, and even I don't know exactly how a lot of champions function. Like, you could ask me right now what is the best rotation for Red Goblin or whatever, and I would not be able to give you an immediate answer because I just don't use those champions daily and I don't have that like intimate knowledge. Therefore, if you would ask me how to rework Red Goblin, I'd be like, I'd have some idea, but I definitely wouldn't be the person for the job. And it's quite clear that, especially in Civil Warrior buff, I think, that person who actually did the buffing for Civil Warrior has absolutely no clue what they are doing. They have absolutely no clue what Civil Warrior is or how he is played right now before the buff, and how realistic playstyle would look like. Probably somebody who has barely touched the game and should not be in charge of these buffs. But we're gonna get to that.
It is what it is with that. But I do think it's the right move. It may not be what everybody likes. People are going to be upset no matter what. But let's put it this way: it's as if the buff just hasn't happened yet. We were testing a beta test of it, and the feedback was given, and they've left it alone for now, and they're working it.
As always, that's
what I kind of look at it as.
Okay, let's move on. Let's discuss the 3 buffs quickly and how they are turning out to be.
I say let's leave Civil Warrior to last because he's the one I'm probably going to talk the most about. But Angela was a good one.
Angela should be here right now in front of the screen for you guys. And with Angela, the buff's good. My only, here's what I think. I think Angela is, let's say, bottom top 10 Cosmic Champion now. Somewhere from, let's say, 10th to 7th, something like that place. I don't think, and I have heard people say, oh, she's like next Chorus or something like that. That's bullshit. She's not. She's just not.
Yeah.
Let's say that. She's nowhere near that top of the level in Cosmic Class. But she is a lot better than she was, and the utilities that they gave her are in fact quite good. My only problem with Angela's buff is that she doesn't have a target audience right now, because she's one of those champions that needs SIG 200, but we are at a very weird spot right now in the game where top-end players are trying their best to move away from 5 stars.
5 stars.
There has to be bloody darn good reason for me to rank up a 5-star today to rank 5, because of how much they cost, and because I know for a fact that they are just about at the end of the line. They can do everything in game right now, but they are avoided in high tier alliance wars. They are avoided in high tier alliance quests. They do not affect anybody's prestige. Kabam's actively encouraging us to use 6 stars in Act 7 now, and it doesn't take much to understand that it's not long before they're going to be what 4-star champions used to be a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and
I don't know if it'll be as extreme, but it's definitely going to be a point where, like a year from now, I really think that they're going to be less useful than they are now.
Yeah, a year from now, I think they're going to see pretty much no use in any in-game content anymore. But yeah. And here's the problem, because it's SIG 200 right now. And people who are able to easily take champions to SIG 200 don't rank 5 stars because they don't want to spend extra tier 2 alphas, because tier 2 alphas are a huge bottleneck for a lot of us, and we're only focusing on 6 stars because that's where the game is headed, and because also the economy of the game simply does not allow us to rank up 5-star champions. So therefore, the champion would have to be something like freaking really special for me to go and rank up a 5-star. Might be something that brand new that comes out, like, I don't know, Cosmic Ghost Rider, because Cosmic Ghost Rider is freaking fun and like awesome and stuff like that, and is towards the top of Cosmic class. And I don't think Angela is that good to justify me ranking her up. I still might for funsies if I can feel that my tier 12 allows it, because I already have her like a super high sig, but it wouldn't be anything like that I'm overly excited doing. So top end players don't want rank 5 stars, but to benefit from Angela, you need high sig. Top end players are also living through a very, very tough time when it comes to 6-star signature stones. And if you want to use Angela how she's designed to use, you need to get her to sig 180, basically. That is when she shortens the debuffs quickly enough for 3 debuffs to basically nullify all the damage over time effects. So you need to get her to sig 182, and then you can use her against any damage over time effects, and it's not going to do much against you, because you're going to gain the healing buff, you need to land 1 crit, and you start with a buff, so that gives you 3 buffs very quickly. Otherwise, you need to use synergies, and again, Angela is just not that good to justify bringing in synergies. Anyways, this is a very roundabout way of saying top tier players don't want to rank 5 stars and physically don't have the signature stones to sig her up, nor it would be a good decision because her prestige is not high enough. So top-end players don't want to rank her as 6-star and have very little use of her as a 5-star. Middle-tier players, who are still focusing on 5 stars, can rank her if they still want to rank 5 stars, but again, they are the people who don't have as easy time to bring champions to SIG 200. It's much more feasible than 6 stars for top-end players, but still, it might not be the best investment of those signature stones. And obviously, if you are just a player who's starting out and getting your first 5 stars and getting unduped Angela, her buff is meaningless to you. So no matter how good Angela is, I just don't really think she hits any demographic in particular right now in the game that would actively use her.
Yeah, I felt like this buff was like, it's nice, but it's going to be useless for players, in-game players. It's more for maybe people that are still using 4 stars that are completing content, or even just using 5 stars for the first time. And maybe this is her first, your first rank 4 maybe as a 5-star, an awakened Angela. But yeah, if you don't have an awakened Angela, the buff really did nothing. And not only that, you, like you said, has to be a high sig, and nobody in their right mind in a top alliance or in-game player is going to put those valuable 6-star shards. I mean, I'm 6 stones.
Well, there are always somebody, and we have some whales who had her like sig 100 naturally, so they're just gonna like chalk it up or something. But they are very, very rare. And obviously, there are always exceptions who will do that. But
I mean, because most people, if you're looking at prestige, they're gonna put it into
Silver Surfer or
Silver Surfer.
Whoever.
Yeah, or they're gonna, if they want like a hard hitter, they'll put it in Captain Marvel movie. You know what I mean? So they're not gonna do it with Angela. Because their prestige is too low, and it's just they're too valuable of an investment to do.
Yeah, 6-star stones is a huge thing. It takes ages to SIG 200 somebody. It takes, in many cases, well over a year to get the champion SIG 200 if you only use like class 6 stones that you get on them. Like,
and even if
it's been over a year at this point, I believe, since I took my thing to rank 3, and I'm still working, and he's only at like 600 or something like that. So 6 stones are
you saw the other day,
stupid rare.
they had 6-star stones. If you paid $40, you got 20 basically. So you got one dupe level for $40, and I mean that's the cheapest we've seen it. But in reality, they're still very rare. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just don't see it unless those become
Well, that's
more
the thing
readily
is,
available.
I do see it in future though, because I do see that ability is very useful.
I know this is a podcast, guys,
So maybe
but use
maybe
as
that's
your
what it's for.
brothers.
Thank
But
you
it's
very
nothing
much,
going to help us
JS. I
now.
appreciate that. And yeah,
JS, thank you again.
for being extremely generous. But yeah, the good thing now, I said all the bad things, and now somebody already headed the comment section to yell at me or something. But the good thing is that I do think that ability that she has right now doesn't have an age. I do think that ability will age extremely well. And I do think that she's still going to be useful 2 years from now, and we're going to be looking at 6-star rank 4s and whatever. And I do think that within a year or two, we're going to be much more liberal with our 6 stones. So, to a degree, you could say that I think her rework kind of came before the appropriate time in game meta. Because I do look at her quite highly. I do think she's a useful champion, and this buff definitely has given her many, many new uses. But I do think it's going to take a while for us to get to the point where we can actively sig up 6-star champions. And in that case, she's hopefully going to be able to put in a lot of work. And overall, I do think that she is a successful buff. Again, just maybe with a slight timing issue here for the game.
Yeah, no, I think the good thing about the buff is, like you said, as 6-star 6 stones become more readily available, as you naturally dupe her multiple times and such, this is gonna age well because there's nothing about it that won't be beneficial once
there's
we have
nothing
it.
about
We're just
it
not
that
going to
is
be able to
like
see that.
specific for a piece of content or a variant or something like that. Like, you know, I don't know. Many champions have like their spotlight in one specific variant or one specific chapter or global, and then they kind of like move back. I think Angela has this ability is going to be very useful for a lot of things. But I just don't think that many people are going to have the privilege to use her soon. But let's quickly move on. We're actually quite behind the schedule. This might be a bit longer episode this week.
But yeah, Massacre. How about that one?
Massacre is very quick and easy. I like his rework. I think maybe apart from the level 1 change, I don't like that they gave the increased increased disorient duration kind of like reversed when opponent is not incinerated. I definitely don't like that. But overall, everything else about not everything else about the buff I like.
Yeah.
Obviously, they could have done more, but for as little what they did, it just, I think, I heard somebody, I think Vega Gaming or somebody else said, he just became a better version of himself. And to a point where you don't have to think anymore, how are you going to get your bat ignited? Oh my god, AI is not aggressive, he's not blocking. You can quite literally just hit the opponent, and he's going to get the bat ignited.
Yeah, that was the biggest problem why I didn't play him a lot of the time, was because sometimes if the AI didn't behave, like if you didn't have that perfect environment, I couldn't get the bat ignited. But now it happens so easy, sometimes so quickly early in the match, that you're able to just melt the opponent. Like I did Cav difficulty with him on multiple paths, and he was doing great.
Oh yeah. And yeah, so I really do like his buff. I don't think he's like a top tier champion. I don't think he's going to be standing neck and neck with Thekiryu or anything like that. But I really do like and enjoy him for what he is. He's aggressive, ton of debuffs, aggressive playstyle, just ton of great amount of fun, tiny bits of utility here and there. As I said before, I kind of look at him as like an other side of the coin of Black Widow Deadly Origins. I think those two champions are pretty much identical with a lot of relatively pointless abilities, and ultimately the reason why we like them is a ton of damage over time effects. Swap Incinerate for Shotgun's basically the same champion. And
it's I'll just say it's something the skill class needed, because we're getting more skill reworks now that make him just a better overall champion. Like if you were to pull them, it may not be a Nick Fury, but it's somebody that's going to help you do some damage and clear some content.
I do have a 6-star rank 2 Massacre, and I absolutely love playing him. I'm going to say that much. I think he's one of the kind of like, if we actually measure champions by how much smile they can put on our face and how fun they are and how engaged they make me feel with the game, then he's top of the top of the game. He's alongside Black Widow, the Origins, Carnage, Sunspot, and a bunch of other champions.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one that you're going to see. You'll probably see more play styles out of more people and easier.
Yeah,
to
he's one of
play
those champions
now
you want to play when you can.
Yeah,
Fun.
like I said, I used him for the Cav difficulty, the skill quest, no problem. I had so much fun playing him, and I used him more than I used my Elsa that I used so much last month. I used him so much more, and I loved playing him. Between him and my rank 4 Black Widow Deadly Origin, which, like you said, is pretty much the same. Yeah, they're really good. And then you've got the really good rework of Mole Man, and then you've got decent Kingpin. The skill class is becoming, and Falcon, obviously with these buffs, the
very,
skill
very
class
good
is,
round. I'm more and more thinking
Yeah.
about giving Falcon my skill gem at the moment. I do have a 6-star skill
There's
gem.
nothing wrong with that. I think that's a really, he does so much good now, and with his awakened ability especially. I think skill class is finally getting some of the interesting characters that it may not be game changing, kind of like how champions released in 2020 were, but yeah, while there may be champs that can do it better, you're gonna have fun playing these champions that can get the job done.
Yep. And yeah, with
anyway.
skill class at the moment is kind of like I am trying to hold a catalyst for Thor Ragnarok because I have to rank that guy soon. Well, the more specific situation is I'm ranking that guy as soon as I can take him to Sig 100 because that is when he can affect my prestige. So I kind of want to either be close to my next skill catalyst or have another catalyst formed because of that before I do make a decision on Falcon, and I'm going to try and dupe him meanwhile. But this is not to talk about Falcon. Let's talk about Civil Warrior, which is a much more different situation, I think.
This is a can of worms.
This
I know
is
you made
huge
a
can of
detailed
worms,
video.
I think.
You
Because
made a detailed video about it, which I didn't know how to put it into words, but you explained it pretty dang well. And I'm gonna go saying this, and I kind of said this to you privately. I think that if the Hood didn't have so much that was taken away from him that people focused on, this would have been another one where people would have looked at it and said, "You took away the ability to have ability accuracy reduction,
ability to heal from suicide masteries."
Yeah, his suicide masteries, he was able to have so much better ways to handle him with the more armor ups he had. He was changed in a way that, again, very dangerous precedent to go down. You're taking away certain things for damage, and it's not ideal to play the character
damage
they
is
want
not
us
there.
to play.
Without Fury buffs, he has one of the bottom 10 damage in game, I think. And
it's hard to keep those up.
And exactly, you're gonna be spending a large portion of the fight without those Fury buffs or taking crap ton of damage and block. So, like, here's the thing. Like, I don't really think he's drastically worse than he was before. Obviously, I think he's like what's the best way to explain? So, if I think Civil Warrior start is here, and when a champion gets buffed, we expect it to move upwards. Let's say somewhere here. Then I look at Civil Warrior right now that has moved slightly downwards or remained the same, because I do think the damage on a champion like Civil Warrior, in this case it doesn't matter because you don't access it. Like, you can only access damage by taking a lot of block damage and foregoing all of his utility, in which case why the hell you would use Civil Warrior in the first place? You'd use literally any other champion that wouldn't force you to play in that kind of like bad, annoying, stressful, costly way. And when it comes to his utility, yes, let's say his heal block is a bit longer, which is cool, and some other abilities maybe are slightly better, like he's immune to Nullify and Stagger, which is obviously cool, which kind of like brings it up a bit. But at the same time, you lose your ability accuracy reduction abilities, and you also lose, again, your best interaction with bleed and poison debuffs. So I think basically he hasn't changed his overall quality as a champion, and people who pretend that they're loving him right now probably never played him before, because before he was exactly the same as he is now, pretty much, like, or even better. And
it was very much a lateral move on how he was compared to it. They changed him, but it's almost like I guess the best analogy I could say is, let's say you have a sports car and you take out your existing engine and replace it with a brand new engine, and does not increase your performance at all. It literally, you spent thousands of dollars, but everything remained the same, even though it does, like maybe it gets to 60 miles per hour 1 second faster. However, it takes more gas mileage or something. That's a car analogy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's just
I know
like, it
what you
doesn't
mean.
feel like it was worth it.
The point of Civil Warrior, and the biggest problem here that I wanted to quickly discuss, because I do find this extremely troubling, because whoever designed Civil Warrior either did it intentionally, as in added a mechanic that goes directly against his playstyle, and was just trying to be a dick to people, which I don't believe. Realistically, I don't think anybody's like that petty or anything. Or they had no clue what Civil Warrior is, how he's being played, and what he does in game. Because typically a buff, you expect some sort of enhancement, some sort of better experience, and the fact that this buff goes directly 100%, 180 degrees in opposite direction of how you're meant to play Civil Warrior, to me, immediately means that there has been zero knowledge by the person who buffed the Civil Warrior. Because, like I demonstrated in that video, because his coolest thing about the character is and was the fact that you spam heavy attacks, which enables you to put on the heal blocks consistently. Then you go into level 2, which power drains the opponent, and level 2 animation allows you to go back into heavy attack, which works kind of perfect together, and you get these half loops where you have to bait out opponent's special attacks very, very, very rarely. And for most part, you're doing kind of like your thing. The only problem with Civil Warrior in itself is that he has no damage in that rotation. But that rotation, if you get to play Civil Warrior, he's very enjoyable character and he's very cool playstyle.
Yeah.
But again, the buff that he got kind of like is meant to directly destroy that cool playstyle and give you a very unrealistic, shitty, unfeasible playstyle.
Yeah, it's just not realistic in the way the game plays.
So I hate
the way
Civil Warrior buff, honestly. I have duped 6-star and I had huge hopes and I wanted to love it. I tried to love it. I tried to look on positives and all of that stuff. But the more I played, the more annoyed and irritated I got, because more and more it became apparent that person who has worked in Civil Warrior has no fucking idea what they're doing with Civil Warrior. I'm not saying they never play the game or they are not like good at what they do, but I can tell you for a fact they don't know Civil Warrior as a character in this game. Likely they have not played with him like ever, and definitely don't play this game like frequently.
Yeah, it just felt like inexperienced person got to play around with the champion and they made a lot of little cool things they thought would work well, but took things that did work well away, and again, turned a champion that what they thought they were doing was bringing more damage. In reality, the damage is not something they can do consistently or even with a good play style.
If you go with your car analogies, then look at Civil Warrior as a pickup truck on the countryside. And somebody figured that putting Formula 1 tires on that pickup truck will somehow be cool. No, what you want from pickup truck is clearance. You want it to go through everything and, like, and speed is secondary. Just like Civil Warrior's utility machine, and the top speed is not that important. But the buff entirely focused on, like, something that is just not relevant and ruins the character, I think, for me.
Yeah, no one's gonna do that.
Imagine if you can only drive your pickup truck on a smooth road. It's just shit pickup truck.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that is that. We need to move on, as we are actually falling behind today.
Yeah, I know we're.
It's kind of funny because before we talked how good we do time management.
I know.
Either way. Let's talk about Kabam's new troubled events and everything else that they are doing wonderfully right now. So obviously we all know that the Bifrost thing started out bugged, and here's the problem. Luckily this time I think they sent extra feather out to people, which is
yeah, I think they did.
Which is exactly what they should have done, because the people who did waste their feather on the first run. Okay, so here's the problem. The majority of the rewards are in the caskets, and you would not miss out on the caskets, right?
Right.
But every tier 10 run that you can do also gives you 2% TF5 CC catalyst and 4,000, TF5B fragments for 1500, which isn't then the biggest thing, but 2% TF5CC is something that I would get upset if somebody just kind of randomly takes it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they took it away from me, I'd be very mad.
That's the thing, because they took away the 10% TF5CC from the CAB milestones. There's no 4-star challenge or anything this month, but they added those 10% in this side event. So total amount you can earn from this side event now is 20%. It's fair enough. You earn 6% from buying the final casket, and you can earn 14% from doing the tier 10 7 times, which is what you can do if you do not make any mistakes. So first of all, I think that's a bit greedy, because there will be people who don't realize that, do lower rooms, and then lose out on TF5CC overall compared to last month. And again, if they bugged this out and somebody wasted their feather, and had they not given it to the players, they would be missing out on actual TF5CC fragments, which is shit.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those things where they made things needlessly complicated and didn't explain it well enough, and then on top of that, had it bug out on day one.
I actually kind of don't think this event is overcomplicated. I think that the Jubilee side event was more complex, but here, okay, I know many people think this event quest is overly complicated, but that's only because they throw in a lot of new terms and items in there. There's feathers, there are urus, there are, I don't know, horns and caskets and gauntlets and tiers and stuff like that, right? It's a lot of information process. But I think the event itself is straightforward once you actually realize what's happening there. I think Kabam's problem is when they do write up these events, they write up a breakdown, but they don't give you a manual.
Right, but okay, so here's what I mean when I say it's too complicated, because I know people say that and they don't give examples, or the examples they give are not the way I'm talking about it. So here's what I mean, okay? Yes, I know there's different materials and stuff like that. It's not so much that. It's that we were given, you know, the worthy to buy 5 of those, you know, the caskets, right?
Yeah.
And then that would progress it when it wasn't bugged. It was going to progress it to get the 6. Instead of doing that, okay, what would have been a much easier thing to do was, instead of giving us one material, to have to go buy something else that changes a quest, and then you have to make sure you go on the right quest so you get enough so you maximize everything. What should have been done, in my opinion, to make it a little bit more streamlined and simple, was, instead of giving us the uru to buy the 5 caskets, just give us all the 5 casket rewards in the mail. We claim that, and then we're instantly in tier 6, and then we can buy the other caskets.
Obviously, there are things that I can do, but I think the biggest problem here is, and not just for this event specifically, but for every new event, is then they do have these ideas in very varied levels of complexity, and it's kind of like, imagine if you receive a new piece of equipment, right? And you have no idea how exactly it works. They have some names above the buttons, and you understand the general idea. I don't know, it's a bread maker or whatever. But you don't have the manual, you don't know the total capacity of it, and you don't know everything else. And you have to yourself manually work it out, manually measure how much you can put in it, how long it takes to process, and stuff like that. And that is all the information that's important in this. So I think they can solve themselves a huge amount of problem if they just go to the end of the post and write in. So this is what you're meant to do. 1, open the mail, claim the uru. 2, buy the 5 caskets. If they actually write it on the post and announcement, step by step, what you're meant to do, right? Like that. I don't know, what was it? Frontline or Trucos or whoever put together that picture. Why Kabam can't do it? They should be doing that crap.
Well,
they should be putting up a picture saying, this is quest you should be doing that many times, that quest you should be doing that many times to get max rewards. You are perfectly free to alter whatever way you approach the quest, but this is how you get max rewards. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Simple. Kabam should be doing that. They can make these events complicated. The problem is that after reading their post, nobody has a clue exactly what to do, and then you have to go and ask everybody, look up 15 videos for people who work out, who do the math, who do everything else. No player should be doing that themselves. It's Kabam that should be telling that to people.
Yeah, okay, so here's something else too. When the event was bugged, I should have taken a screenshot of it, but they actually had like a little PSA pop up on the forums that said that you needed to buy. Like, it actually clarified it even further, more than what it says in this further clarification here on the post.
They just throw this wall of text with you with all general information, but It's one of those
Someone mentioned they should
typically
maybe
TLDR.
do like a they should maybe do a video guide, like a small, quick 30-second video guide. Do this,
Yeah,
you know,
they
kind of
can do a
explaining what you
quick video guide. They can do an infographic type of thing. They can do like
something.
plan points. There are
They've got
30 things they can do, but they don't do any of them.
they've got enough people working for them and that do stuff like on the forums and stuff. They could put something like that together so much easier than this long-winded,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, 4-page post that just is a bunch of. At the end of the day, people. You got kids playing this game too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but
it's not just that.
they make this shit just too complicated
too long,
to read.
Too
Like,
long didn't read.
yeah. Yes, exactly. And that's what you're saying. They should do a TLDR at the end or something. But yeah, it definitely gets to the point where it's just like it's too much for a friggin' side. It's not even the main
Exactly.
event
It's not even
this
like
month.
anything.
It's a side event.
Yeah, it's not like new chapter. It's not new abyss. Something.
This is not
So I
permanent
think they're
content. This is
absolutely awful
something
with that, and I
we're gonna
think
be done with in 3 weeks.
yeah, because nobody wants boring events.
Right.
Nobody wants
But
kind
at
of
the same
like just
time,
log in and get the reward, or log in, do this quest every day, every same fights and stuff like that. Complex.
there's a balance.
Yeah, there is a balance, but there's also a complete negligence towards the player base, because in this case, here is the problem with it. Because if you
Right.
do something wrong, it directly affects you. It's not like there's like some huge overlay where you can mess up and still get max rewards or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then, let's say at the end of the month, if you find out that you took a wrong quest because you didn't understand it perfectly from day one, you're missing out on, I don't know, you did 3 or 4 wrong quests, and you're missing out on 8% TF5CC by end of it. You'd be pissed off. Same as it was with Jubilee. Even if you did one thing wrong, you missed out on a lot of stuff.
That's what pisses me off is like sometimes like these people that aren't as knowledgeable, that don't watch YouTube videos, that don't do all this, to the average player, they don't know they messed up until they get to the end, and then by then they're kicking themselves, but there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a balance between making an event fun and not monotonous, or making an event like overtly complicated for the sake of being overtly complicated.
And again, ultimately, I like this event. Honestly, I do. I like the format of it, and
the event is good.
Once you put the waffle away, it's fairly straightforward.
Right.
Log in, you get an entry to a quest, you do a quest, minimum amount of times needed to get the currency to unlock the next difficulty, and you climb your way up. When you put it like that, it's very, very, very simple.
It's straightforward then.
But they don't.
To get to that point,
they add in all this waffle and all these long ass descriptions, and then there are bugs and everything else, and it just completely ruined them.
It comes off as pretentious. It comes off as very much pretentious, smelling their own farts to see how complicated it. They're trying to make it seem more complicated, even though it's not complicated when you break it down. And I think that's why people get confused and think it's complicated, if that makes sense.
Probably. There's definitely a better way how to put that information out and forward. And I think a lot could be achieved, as you said, with 30-second video or a small infographic or TLDR or something like that.
Something has to change. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think they're getting way ahead of themselves.
Change.
And speaking of the monthly events, obviously we had the nice surprise of having the skill node bugged. And actually, somebody's mentioning to me that I believe mutant node or some other node is bugged, but it's not as noticeable.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I'll get to it. I'll double check it like tomorrow or whenever. But we can talk about the skill one. Overall, the monthly event quest I think was fine. Some people said it was quite hard. There are some bosses that are tricky. I believe like Void and some others.
So this is what I'm going to say about the bosses, because I made a post on the forum about it, and some people took it the correct way, and some people took it the wrong way. The correct way was I was being snarky because I said with a Void boss it was just evil, but I didn't mean it was too hard. I just meant it was kind of evil, but once you figured out the mechanics of it, it was a fun fight. You had to actually use your mind, and then you use your roster to figure out how to combat that. And of course, if you had suicides, it was almost impossible to do without reviving or using.
It just meant a couple champions.
It was a lot. Yeah, it just meant you had to use a lot of your champions to, like, lack of a better word, sacrifice.
Colossus smash like 70% of his health and finish off with somebody.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very doable, but it, I posted that I actually liked it. Like I was, I joked around who hurt you guys, but in all seriousness, I thought it was good content. I thought it was a nice challenge.
Yeah.
It was not something that was like, hard and, it was just, a cash grab or anything like that. I didn't feel like that at all. I felt like it was a challenge. It was something that was different. It was refreshing. The bosses, like, you had to just think about a counter, and that sometimes it wasn't even the counter that was the skill that was getting the boost that chapter. But it was fun. I liked it. I thought the bosses were good. And then briefly, they buffed the rewards for Cavalier difficulty, which I think was a long time coming, and we had just talked about a week before.
Yeah, Cav
that they needed to do
difficulty.
that.
I don't. Again, I still don't think these rewards are anything that like blows me out of the
No,
water or
but
anything like
they're
that.
better.
They're not anywhere close to the level that uncollected rewards were when they came out, but they are significantly better in my opinion, and they
Yeah.
kind of hit the right
Absolutely.
points.
Yeah, they are absolutely better in that aspect of it. It makes it where if you do uncollected 100% and you get Cav 100%, you get 10,000 6-star shards every single month. So you basically get a 6-star guaranteed if you do nothing else in the game.
2,500 6-star shard increase is a solid chunk. It's not a life changer.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
And
change your account.
gold. They increased the gold a little bit, which was nice.
And
I
it's
think
tier
it's
2 alpha,
40,000
which is
versus-
one of the biggest, obviously, pain
Yes.
points for many people.
Yeah. So they did some good things. I wish they would have done it 3 months ago, but better late than never.
And obviously the Nexus Crystal. The Nexus Crystal, actually, I kind of possibly prefer over Selector due to the fact that you can hoard them.
You can, yeah.
And because, like, here's my plan right now. Is because I get tier 5 CC relatively frequently for everything else. Even if you take a look at the side event, you're going to get 20% tier 5 CC from that. And ultimately, what I want to get to a position where I have a couple of classes that I'm almost ready to form and then open my crystals so I know exactly what I want to pick. If I don't have like a clear need for a specific tier 5 CC right now, like it is, for instance, I have tier 5 CC in Cosmic class and I don't really have anything I'm rushing to rank. And, like, you know what I mean? And then I can just kind of like wait till I need a specific tier 5 CC and then use those Nexus crystals to kind of finish forming the catalyst that I need. And that is going to be my plan. I don't plan to open them unless I need like a specific class. And that's what I'm likely going to do.
And it's better than a class selector because a class selector you have to pick right away, whereas this, at least you can wait to open them. And yeah, you may not get... I mean, there's 3 different classes it's going to give you, and you have the ability to pick one of those 3. Now, if you're targeting one specific class, you may get shafted, but at least you have the option. You can wait to open those when you actually need.
I'm going to ideally wait till there are like 2 clear options that I need right now. For instance, I don't know. For sake of argument, I get a 6-star Mangog and I want to rank him and I have everything else that I need. And then I'm going to be looking for Mystic Hat, but there's going to be, let's say, skill, which at the moment I'm also hoping to get because my account changes constantly. But yeah, so my plan is just to chill on those nexuses because that is something that can come in handy a bit later.
Yeah, and I think that's right. I think that's the way to do it. If you're not at hunt for something and you don't need to rank something up right now, just wait. And that's the great thing about those. So overall, pretty good there.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to help a lot of people become Thronebreaker.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that helps Thronebreaker people so much. The people that aren't Thronebreaker yet. Yes. Yep. Oh my gosh. Really nice change.
Yep, for sure. Okay, very quickly about Mangog.
Yeah, Mangog. So early access bundle came out. You got him as a 3-star. Yeah. I don't have him yet, but I watched your initial play video of him, and what's the quick summary? What do you feel about him? Because we've talked about it in the streams too, but
okay. So my quick summary about Mangog: a lot of utility, a lot, which is good. So automatically means he is on, let's say, top half of the Mystic class. Unfortunately, I think they didn't tie his kit together. His animations do not necessarily complement his playstyle either. And the problem is, like, for instance, and I said he's going to be insanely good champion if his numbers are right, if his kit comes together right. And unfortunately, neither of those things happen. His numbers are not awful, but they definitely feel worse than they should be. And by design, he seems to be a Mystic champion that's intended to be used with Suicide Masteries and doesn't necessarily need Mystic Dispersion. and could potentially kind of like get thrown off his rotation with Mystic Dispersion. So kind of like Black Widow Clairvoyant, and I love that. I absolutely love that, and I had a lot of open potential in that. But here is the problem. If you want to access his utility, that typically involves spamming your level 1. If you're running Suicide Masteries, you can die.
Yeah.
You can die real quick with him.
Yeah.
And
Not suicide
then,
friendly
if you
at
don't
all.
run Suicide Masteries and you spam your level 1, you do nothing. You do like a pillow fist type of damage.
Damage isn't there.
And his damage rotation is his level 2, but again, if you want to go with damage rotation, you have to forfeit a lot of utility, which is a fairly common trend these days. And I'm not a fan of it. And that's still, however, fair enough and wouldn't be the deal breaker. But the damage rotation also kind of depends on what AI does. And I had times where I drop my level 2, I charge up my heavy attack forever, for instance, and then like after you use your special attack, basically you enter your damage mode, your rage mode, yeah?
Yeah.
And then after level 2, you stun opponent for 3 seconds, but you're not meant to hit them. You're meant to charge your heavy attack, and the longer you charge, the more damage you can do. And the whole idea is they dash in at you, they hit you whilst you're unstoppable, and your heavy attack unleashes and you get a big fury. So the rotation is a bit complex, and I never like getting hit on purpose, but whatever. But the point there is, I had like 2 or 3 times I was testing, the opponent just didn't want to attack me. My 8-second enrage expired, and that's it. Like, poof, all my damage rotation went to bust. Or sometimes they attacked me at the very, very last second. And yes, I did get the fury increase, but I had to like start building myself all over again. So there's that. And he's not as good as I hoped he's going to be. That is not to say that he's not going to have a use and he's going to be an awful champion. No, that's way, way, way too early to say that. But I am disappointed after my initial use. Numbers aren't as big enough. Kit doesn't come quite as well together as it could, and he could have been so much more based on what they gave him. That, again, I just don't think comes together well enough, and it's like realistic, practical kind of like lineup.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's kind of like what we always say. Things look great on paper, but that's why we don't make decisions about champions until we get them and see them in action and such, because on paper he looked like he was going to be a pretty decent champion, but he's got a lot of utility, but the damage isn't really there, and he's not suicide friendly, and his animations are a little bit clunky, and they don't fit with his place. It's just a lot of that stuff is just like, yeah, no. Unfortunately, he's a mediocre champion, overshadowed by better champions, and even Dragon Man. I mean, even though his body's basically based off it, looks really cool, but doesn't look like a champion I'm really excited to get anytime soon.
I was excited about him more before I got to play him. I'm gonna leave it like that.
Which sucks.
He still could be good. Still could be good, but my excitement died down after actually using him. And again, I just had 3-star to use, so might be different.
But even so, you know.
Even so,
I know what you're saying. We'll just have to.
He's definitely not gonna be like bad. I mean, he's not like Ebony Maw or anything like that. It's just he's not quite up like where I hoped him to be. He's a Mystic champion that's designed to be used without Mystic Dispersion, with Suicide Masteries, who has to forfeit all of his utility in order to be able to do that, and still has a very tricky playstyle. If you run Mystic Dispersion, that could mess up your rotation. If you do not run Suicide Masteries, you hit like a 5-year-old Girl Scout. So there's just too many kind of like contradicting factors for my liking for the champion, and unfortunately it is what it is. I don't see absolutely no reason why they couldn't have given him, let's say, double the damage output that he has.
Yeah, unfortunately this is a place where they could have given more damage and kept the utility, because the utility is not going to be too powerful.
Well, that utility can be situationally good, and there are plenty of good things, but...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they couldn't. It's not like they can justify it saying we gave him so much utility, so we couldn't give him damage also because he'd be overpowered. It's not that.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, they
could have
like boosted his damage by 2 to 2.5, and it would have been fine.
But yeah, anyways, could have been better. Could have been worse. My personal recommendation: should you go nuts on Mangog Cavaliers? No, you shouldn't. No. Should you be upset if you duple him? No, he will have his uses, and a solid addition to the contest. Just nothing to overly fun about.
Sure. Got another 5 pounds
Yeah.
coming in, by the way.
I'll take 2 sugars in my tea, please.
There
Will
you
be
go.
arranged. How about 3 sugars?
And then final thing I guess we're going to talk about is the new
JS 5
Incursions.
pounds.
Yeah,
Will take 2
Incursions
sugars
update.
in my tea, please.
Okay,
Yeah,
so okay, you lay out your thoughts about it.
well, I mean, I know that it's been confirmed that it's only for this month that they're doing these 6-star shards. However, and we had kind of talked about it. I'm not a big incursion person, but this pushes me more to do them because the fact that you're to get the ability to get some 6-star sig stones, which is highly valuable. If you push to room 20, you can get different buffs that are out there now, and they're going to vary, which makes it a little bit more refreshing, I guess you could say. But those are extremely valuable to be able to get access to those if you team up with somebody to take it over a couple days and do those incursions and do it. It's the first time we've seen those available just for someone that can be free to play. That's a big deal. They've got the new hacks that just came in. They did retuning of old hacks. So they're changing some stuff up. Now, you're someone who plays incursions, I would say, more frequently than I do. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so when it comes to new hacks, I'm actually not very enthusiastic about it. And here is the point. Why? Because the current hacks are better, just flat out, than most of the things that are going to be coming in. They're more potent, more powerful, for most part.
Okay.
And at the very least, there are few hacks, obviously, that people hunt for a lot more. Like Buff Cornucopia is everybody's favorite hack, and there are a few other ones that I absolutely love, depending champions that I use, like the one that gives you prowesses and stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
here is my problem with all of these new hacks that are added. It's kind of like, when you toss a coin, you have 50-50 shot, basically. Or if you go into very advanced math, perhaps 51-49 shot, whatever. But basically how 1 in 2 kind of chance to get the hack that you want. If there are like 2 champions in a crystal, you open a crystal, you have 50-50 shot to get either one of those champions. But you have 10 champions in that crystal, you only have 10% instead of 50% chance for each individual champion that you're looking for. In the same situation here, the more hacks there are, the harder it is to target the ones that you specifically want. And those hacks are very varied in their applications, and when you bring in champions, often you have some hacks in mind they interact better with. For instance, Buff Cornucopia, you want taking champions that have buffs, right? It's simple as that.
True.
And now, if you're going to bring in champions specifically for Buff Cornucopia, you're going to have less overall chance and time with that specific hack. And that goes for every single hack in there, no matter what strategy you use. So it makes incursions a lot less strategic and or planned. It makes it a lot more random. So I'm not a fan of vastly improving the amount of hacks that are potentially going to pop up there, because again, it makes it a lot more random, a lot less planned, and much more of a whether you get lucky or not, and much less whether you're good enough or not. So I don't like that. I think it's delusion of skill and or planning.
It adds too much RNG into the mix.
Exactly. It just adds too much. When it comes to everything else, adding new champions, I'm fine with that. And new buffs, fair enough, because you get the option to swap in and out champions. That's fine. Solo objective, initially it was much more interesting than it is right now, because initially it said that it's generics and that would be much more valuable.
Right.
But nonetheless, even randos, 6-star 6 stones are so rare that I'll take 30 random 6 stones with pleasure. And also the language, the way it read, to me, it looked like it would be a continuous thing, 30-day solo objective. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a one-time deal for now. So that kind of puts away the narrative where incursions all of a sudden is a relative game mode where you can rank for incursions and you should focus on. No, it's just a one-time thing. You shouldn't rank specific champions for incursions.
I don't know if they're testing the waters here or what, but I was thinking it was going to be permanent too.
Yeah, me too. And it's a one-time thing, and that changes things a lot.
Yeah. And the other thing too is
Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
you wanted to add in something?
Well, I was just going to say the other thing too is the fact that I think it really was looking like it should have been generics, which I think would have been the greatest thing to give. Granted, it's still not bad that they're class-based randoms, but it's just it's kind of crappy because I hate when they do that wording and then they change it
Yeah.
to be something worse when everybody gets excited about it. You know what I mean?
They can't even make a freaking post, right? Without a bug.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways.
I know. Anyway, that's all I
But
wanted to
here
add.
is the great thing, and here is the amazing thing, and here is the things that I absolutely love. It's a challenge, and this game needs so much more of these, in my opinion. This game needs to push their most thirsty players. And this is
Well, I'm looking forward.
this is an amazing format to do it. This is one of the best kind of like things that they have done it in that aspect, to challenge and push players who want to be pushed and challenged. I think, again, if this would be a permanent edition, it would be so perfect and it would make Incursions so important. But even right now, I'm pumped for it because I have not made to Zone 20 because I have never cared enough for Incursions. Now, I do believe that I'm, let's say, quote unquote, good enough to do it if I take my time, if I scout, if I plan, if I maybe use some items, if I boost, like, do it properly, kind of like, and give it my all. I'm confident that I can do it, but at the same time, I know that it's going to be very hard, and I get excited thinking about it. I think it's going to make for a great stream. I think I'm going to have great fun, and I think that is something that I want more of in this game. Something that's going to push me, that's going to intrigue me, that gives me a healthy level of respect for it, because I understand how hard it is going to be, and it can go south very, very quickly, and it can cost many items if you're not careful, or you can just get roadblocked, and it's very well possible that, for instance, me and I'm going to be running it with an alliance mate of mine, we fail, maybe we fail first time, but I'd like to give it another go, and I'm determined to get it done. And I know it's not for everybody, and that's why I think the format here is very good as well, because if you're a whale that maybe is not as good at the game, you're not going to get that much about 36 tons. You're just going to be able to buy them, or you're probably ahead of everybody in prestige anyways. But if you're like a skilled player, you finally feel like you have a chance to prove yourself and prove that. So I think it's wonderful. It's nowhere near as cool and good and or impactful enough as I hoped and thought it could and would and should be. As often Kabam disappoints us with everything. They post it and they back, retract it, and
well, because I almost feel like they do that to see to gauge how the community accepts it. And if the community gets overexcited, then it's almost like they go back and make it worse on purpose, just so they can be like, "Well, we gave them too much if we did it that way." But
I
don't know if that's
whatever
true. That's
we're
my
left
cynical
with,
side.
At the very least, me on personal level, I'm very, very excited. I know many top tier players are as well. And again, I know it's not for everybody, but not everything in this game should be designed for everybody. That's why we have progression-based solo rewards and stuff like that.
Yeah. And however, real quick too, I do want to mention I'm looking forward to the boss rush tomorrow too.
Boss rush. I generally, based on past experience, I mean, I'm gonna upload the video. I'm gonna put some sort of enthusiastic face about, but I really don't expect much. I don't think it's gonna be much. I think it's gonna be like, here you go, 1 5-star crystal and 2,000 5-star shards, or 6-star shards.
But I still think it'll be fun
because that's what it was last year, and it's like a 15-minute thing. So hopefully they make it bigger. But typically, whenever I get pumped for these boss rushes, I always get kind of like very quickly given a reality check, and especially for these Women's Day boss rushes, again, it's like 6 champions, 15 to 20-minute type of thing, and free nibble of a 5-star crystal, which is cool, but...
Do you remember there was a boss rush where it was when the champion first came out and such, and it was like you had to run like 3 pass or 4 pass or something like that? It was a really good one.
It was either maze or celebrity challenge. Boss rushes themselves are always one path and very quick, and that's it.
Okay, I mean, it must have been a celebrity challenge, but it was a really good one though.
Yeah, no. Celebrity challenge is completely different kind of thing. Celebrity challenge is like last one was the John Mulaney one. That was actually tricky and interesting and fun, and I like those a lot more. Boss rushes are typically quite shit. Like we had those 6 boss rushes or 5 boss rushes in a row, or 6 weeks of boss rushes. And again, like each individual boss rush was nothing really. It was like 10-15 minute kind of thing. You quickly run through it. You get your 6,000 5-star shots. The final one was all right.
Yeah, the final one was the only one that kind of.
But again, it only reason it was all right is because it was 30 fights or something and had meaningful rewards.
Yeah, 30. I think it was 31 fights in a row on the highest difficulty.
Yeah, exactly. But these are 6 fights and obviously very little reward, so I'm not overly pumped for them.
It's something new. You know, that's
Well,
the way I look at
it's
it.
something to do, but don't get me. It's not like I think it's a bad thing. It's just I don't think they're anything special or impressive. It's just like neat. It's not bad. It's okay.
I know they won't do it, but Gwenpool at the movies was the best one, and Paul Burrows reminded me of that. Yeah, that's one of the best side content they ever did. The rewards were great. It was a fun event. Kabam will never bring that back, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that is us being done. We're actually 20 minutes longer than we normally are, so please accept our apologies. That is actually exactly how long it took to get to KT time after the
you know what? If
quiz.
you would have been faster with your answers, it was supposed to go be like a 5-minute thing.
Yeah.
But
well,
still had fun.
Well, there you go. It was 20-minute thing. I'd rather take a bit more time and be right, which I was on every single question.
Yes.
Do not forget.
You were right. Hey, you were right. You were right, and I'm glad you doubted yourself in the last question, which I thought was actually a lot easier than you made it seem like it was really hard, but you actually did it. So I hope everybody liked it. I wanted to do something a little bit fun for KT to kind of celebrate him and show that he knows a lot about this game too. I know you guys know that, but I also wanted him to have some fun and make him smile, which I hope I did that for you, KT.
Yeah.
At least a little.
Yeah. And again, I just wanted to elaborate because I saw somebody in chats, like, not everybody's endgame player, and many people love these. And that's perfectly fine. That wasn't the question. I do not speak for many people in this case. I speak for myself. And I rephrase that question that I do think they're fine. I don't care for them too much anymore. I care for celebrity challenges. I care for bigger things. I'd care for next iteration of Abyss or any big piece of content. I think boss rush is neat little something nibble of a content that I get through typically in 10-15 minutes, and I put aside. The fact that other people love them, that's perfectly fine, and that's why I think it's very good that there are different people who enjoy different things. If you are somebody who will love the next boss rush, you are somebody who probably will not care about this 6-star signature stone thing in Incursions. So it's always a matter of perspective, and I don't pretend to be all-knowing or representing everyone. But when I'm asked my personal opinion about boss rush, then it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie to you and pretend that I'm overly excited for it. Anyways.
That is all.
That is it. Yeah, we got to go Sunday evening. I need to go spend some time with my very, very beautiful girlfriend, who in no way, shape, or form was responsible for the scar on my face earlier this week. I was told to remind you that of.
When can everybody see you back again? Are you going to do a morning stream again?
We will be doing morning stream at 8:30 a.m. GMT. Tomorrow, instead of grinding arena, because there will be no great arenas, I will be using up all my feathers and doing the side event thing 5 times, and then the next one, because I'm gonna get my 6th feather. And yeah, that is what's gonna happen in the morning. But for now, you guys have been absolutely awesome. Please do hit that like button on your way out, and let's say a huge thank you to Mando.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure being here. Always a privilege to be with the knowledgeable KT and all the hundreds of people that are out there watching us. We appreciate every single one of you, and thank you so much for being here.
And yeah, see you next time, guys. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the